I have animated a 0D, 1D, and 2D shape, but now it's time to enter the third dimension as I animate a cube in 10 seconds, 1 minute, 10 minutes, 1 hour, and 10 hours. Now, despite being a cube, this will be a 2D animation, so it could be pretty challenging to pull off, but let's get started. So I'm not sure that I can even draw a cube in 10 seconds, but the plan is to draw a cube, then trace it, and we'll have a 2-frame boil. I should use a really thick brush. I think this is more forgiving. Alright, 10 seconds starting now. I'm gonna try and draw a cube as quick as I can. And then trace it. Oh, I actually had a second spare. That's brilliant. Oh, the last line, not very good. It's actually 2 lines. That is quite the mess. Okay, let's watch this little loop. Yeah, I mean, that couldn't have really gone much better. I guess I could have spent an extra 2 seconds on the initial drawing. Might look more like a cube, but not bad for 10 seconds work. Let's move on to 1 minute. This time I'm going to try to rotate it a little bit. I'm going to focus on drawing a more proper cube, at least, and then give it a little spin. This could go wrong, but okay, 1 minute starting now. I'm going to draw a similar cube to last time. This sort of facing the edge. Oh god. I'm gonna try to make it look more like proportionally accurate. I'm gonna try to rotate it, have this left face be almost front facing, and then the other face is kind of disappearing. Now a fully front facing one, I think. We'll have time to adjust these things. Okay, so now I'm gonna copy this frame and flip it. I've got 10 seconds left. I wanna change the position of everything. Oh man, okay. That is a minute done. 4 frames. Could have done with more, I think, but let's see. Okay. I mean, it looks like a spinning cube. It's very jittery though. There's potential there. Like, it's really noticeable when it jumps down to here. Okay. 10 minutes. This one could be good. I'm just gonna do the same thing as the 1 minute, kind of. Try and get a full spin around, and then I think I can make it reasonably smooth. Hopefully it's not uncanny valley. I'm gonna do more frames and see if I have time to shade it. And we have 10 minutes starting now. Okay, I suppose I should take the time to make this a little more proper. Yeah, I should fill in all the gaps in case I want to paint bucket. Alright, so this is pretty scrungly already, but yeah, I'm gonna have to draw a lot of frames, so I should not care about that too much. I'll draw the front facing and then do the in-betweens. So this should really be a perfect square, but it won't be. Okay, this should be a little wider. I'm not loving my time spent so far. So between those two, we'll have that slight starting to face the front. Let me just turn off that onion skin, it's kind of in the way. Draw some more in-betweens, and I'm gonna do the copy and flip tactic. So this should be down a bit, I think. I've animated a cube at some point, but I've not been practicing. But I'll do further in-betweens between the ones I've done. So this side should be almost disappeared. Let's see if this just looks any good. Alright, I'm gonna do the reverse thing. Right, I was gonna see if I can do some shading. If I have it like dark here, I have to like slowly merge it into light. Oh, there's a gap. This should work out, I think. And it's really light once you get to the front. And so this side is quite dark. Right, should be a little darker than that at the end. This is just like a really budget, like scuffed version of a 3D render of a cube. So I'll make the top the lightest, and then this side can just be kind of like that. Does it get darker as it? Yeah, I guess it should. The lighting's coming from the front of the cube. Front/top-ish. Oh, this is actually quite confusing. Okay. I see. Yeah, the lighting's not very good. Make it a little darker over here. Make this one a little lighter. Okay, what else can I do to this thing? What if I put this on 1s? I think it could benefit from being fast. I'm running out of time. I want to do some sort of effect on top. Let's see if that does anything. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Oh, I could do it. I've got 7 seconds left. I shouldn't do anything. Do one little frame over here. Okay, we're done. Well, here it is. Yeah, that is better than the last two, but it's a bit hectic. Perhaps I should have focused purely on the animation, not tried to do all that shading, but it's not that bad. I think the little dashed lines actually do help. This is obviously not the best way to approach animating a cube. There's a certain style to it, but things are about to get much better with 1 hour. Now, as we head into the 1 hour and 10 hour animations, it's good to have an idea of what you want to do. And that's where the sponsor of today's video, Milanote, can help. Milanote is a creative tool for organizing your ideas and projects using visual boards. As someone who does a lot of creative projects, this will come in handy. In fact, I used Milanote for this very video. To plan out what I wanted to do before diving in, I made this board with ideas for each of my animations. You can sketch directly in the app, which is how I made these cubes. You can also draw over anything, then move and resize it as you please. For the more complicated parts, like my 1 hour and 10 hour animations, you can add subboards. Here in this brainstorm board, I even have an animated GIF and a linked YouTube video for inspiration. As a little sneak peek, here are 2 boards I made to organize my ideas for the 10-hour animation. I'm also working on a game at the moment, and this is great for keeping all my ideas, inspiration, and to-dos in one place. It's super easy to navigate because of how visual everything is. Using their web clipper tool, you can easily add a reference image without copy and pasting. Or even a video. For this ideas board, I've used a combination of quick sketches with the draw tool, images I found, and websites. I can keep track of the animations I need to do and draw in placeholders, or gather my thoughts around the type of music I want to have. What's cool is, when you make a new board, the icon will automatically be related to what you named it, but you can also change it to whatever you want, either from their huge library of icons or by uploading your own image. And if you're unsure where to start when making a board, Milanote offers over 100 templates that you can modify for any creative project. When you're ready to share your work, you can invite whoever you want to view your boards or edit them. Milanote is available for free with no time limit, so sign up for a free Milanote account using the link in the pinned comment. Alright, thank you Milanote for sponsoring, and let's get back to the animations. So I went with a dice roll for this 1 hour cube. And I started by placing some cubes in the 3 landing positions, using the line tool to draw them. I had this one on the left land a bit on its edge. Then I added some mid-air positions and had it rock back and forth before it stops. I finished off the in-between frames for a full base animation, then started drawing the dice design. I added colours to keep track of what each side was for when I draw the numbers in, and so I have a better idea of the movement. Now to finish the final drawing and do line art over the rest of the base animation. Next, the pips on the die. Yes, those things are called pips. And yes, I switched to calling it die just that once, because it is singular, but I think dice sounds more apt a lot of the time. Then I filled in the light blue colours, keeping it lighter on the top and left. I added some squash on landing, even though it's a rigid object, just because I like the bouncy look. A little bit more adjusting and in-betweening on the animation, then I did a quick background. The final thing I did was animate some white speed and impact lines. Overall thoughts on this? I like it, but it's a bit simple. Okay, the physics aren't super realistic, but that's not really a concern of mine. It would have been good to have just a little bit more of a kind of easing into the stop. More kind of rolls or bounces overall. But I knew I wouldn't have time to really do those properly. That's why I went with 3 bounces. You know, an hour is still not that long to animate something. Would have been good to have a more detailed design on the dice, but time was not on my side. Anyway, it still looks pretty pleasing. But let's head on to 10 hours and see what I can pull off. This one's going to be centered around a Rubik's Cube, and this is me using a simulator. I typed in some moves to apply so I can take screenshots at various positions. Maybe it seems a little cheap, but I'll be tracing that to get the main animation. There will be some added flair though. Style-wise, I drew the outline of the stickers and it'll have a glow with the rest of it being see-through. You can see here I'm drawing a bend during the middle of the turns. For this right side move, I tried copying and distorting the right face. But that doesn't work too well, so I quickly abandoned that idea and drew every frame from scratch. After each move, I wanted it to overshoot a little bit and snap back into place. So that was mostly done through moving and distorting that layer of the cube. After a couple hours, the cube was animated from scrambled to solved. Next was the opening shot. It squashes down, then jumps into the air. I tried drawing the squash frames, but that's a whole ordeal with the stickers, so I used envelope to bulge out the sides. And the opposite when it jumps. We start with a wide shot on the ground and then a close-up in the air as it solves. I actually still had most of that overshoot thing left to animate, so I worked on that. Then I also wanted to animate an entire cube rotation, so I took more screenshots and drew over each frame. I also wanted to do something weird with the cube at the end. It occurred to me that it would be easier to animate some more full cube animation if I simplify it. At the same time, that allowed for a cool morph from stickers to one big square. White had the middle sticker expand while the rest shrivel away. Red had the middle three peel off while the rest do some crazy gymnastics. Then blue kinda just melts into one. Now it's a big block and I can do this warped rotation on another axis. This is where it falls to the ground and we can go into a loop. So it hits the ground with the usual squash and stretch, then bounces, but on the second hit it turns into the original scrambled cube. To sell the transition, I animated a burst of colours blasting off from the cube. That'll be expanded upon, but for now, some motion lines during the main animation. Then I animated some snazzy effects around the cube when it solved. Back on the ground, I had the cube go from blank to stickered on the first hit, doing a similar colour blast. I also added a sort of shockwave on the ground. Now, I wanted a reflection on the ground just because it looks slightly cooler, but it's not as simple as flipping the cube. To match the angles, I duplicated the cube and distorted until the bottom edges lined up, then recolored the stickers to reflect. I also needed to have the top or bottom face of the reflection invisible when the cube lands, but visible in the air. So I covered it in black on the necessary frames, then repeated that process for all the bounces and the initial scene. Now just working a bit more on the general look before I paint the background. I went to Photoshop and worked on a space scene. Guess I took inspiration from myself from the last video. I also drew some subtle blue and red fog that I'm going to have float by in the animation. Back in the main project, I added the background and turned the floor into a shiny reflective surface. I had the cube float around a bit as it solves, then animated a few layers of fog. Now it's just final touch-ups on the animation and effects. Okay, that's fairly neat. Solid animation, cool vibes. I do feel like there could be more to it. I'm not sure what, but more interesting animation during the actual cube solve, or just more things happening, I don't know. There's nothing too janky about it, except I think the side-to-side spin when it stops is a bit rough. I did the sticker bend thing at the end and snap back during the full side-to-side rotation, and then maybe that hurt more than it helped. I like the landing thing back into the loop. Good squishing and color effects. And that's that. Alright, now I've animated 4 different dimensions, because I'm including 0. But will I animate the 4th dimension? I'm not sure. All I can really think to do is trace a tesseract, but let me know if you have any bright ideas. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you soon, and goodbye.